Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Friday. Let's get the weekend started with the Rodeo Joe Show. Episode 9 here. Going to be going into week 4 of the NFL. I will cover last night's game. I'd also like to briefly state that I'm going to kind of change the format a little bit here. I am trying to kind of deviate away from just stats. It almost kind of feels like, there's not a whole lot of me and my personality coming out into the show, and I don't want that. I want you guys to tune in and be interested every episode, and I try to bring something new and exciting to it every time. So, there'll still be plenty of, somewhat knowledgeable football insight, I would like to say, in this show, but I'm just kind of going with a different direction. If you guys like that, want me to go back to the kind of the old form of doing things, just let me know. But this is something I want to try here for a little bit and kind of see how it goes. I'd also like to say that I know that I stated before that I'd like to kind of open up into some college football and talking about that and stuff. And honestly, I looked into the slate of games that we got this weekend, and nothing really kind of grabs my attention. If that is something that I decide to do, which it's very likely that I will, I want to try to kind of give a this is grounded in Midwestern football, so I kind of like to stick with the Big Ten primarily, and even then, there's not very many good games that really stick out. It's, between ranked opponents playing unranked opponents within the Big Ten. And so that's kind of, it kind of makes it, I don't know. There's only there's a couple, I believe, ranked matchups this weekend as far as all college football goes, with Virginia taking on Notre Dame, and I believe USC and Washington play this week. And I look at, like, as far as what I've seen so far this season, the only one that really kind of intrigues me and I would probably watch would be the Notre Dame game. But even then, I think I think they're overrated. I think their rank is going to slide drastically. I think Notre Dame will bounce back and win that game. But besides that, if that's something that you guys would like me to include on these episodes, feel free to let me know, please. But like I said, going a different route about this, and we'll see how you guys like it. But opening up, we had last night a complete shocker of a game to me. I know I say that a lot, and I know I'm eating a lot of crow here with these Thursday night games. They're killing me. They're really killing me. I just came into this game thinking the Packers were just going to run away with this. Their defense has been playing sound, really good football. They've only allowed like 35 points in the last 3 games, and they gave up 34 last night to the Eagles. And they ended up scoring on 4 possessions. Just completely shocked. Just an impressive win for the Eagles. I know I give them a lot of crap, and they shut me up last night. They played a really good game. They came out with a balanced attack. They ran the ball really well, and Wentz didn't turn the ball over. And like I said, the game came down to the end. Unfortunately for Green Bay, Devontae Adams went down with a toe injury, so he wasn't able to play in that final drive that Green Bay had. Green Bay, still had a chance to come back and tie this game. They actually held a 10-point lead to start this game, but the Eagles rallied back. They've been kind of in that position most of the season, being down by double digits, and they somehow come back and make the game interesting. It was a very good game, I will say that. But yeah, I just was completely shocked by how well Philly played, and just this defense that I was been talking so highly of with Green Bay. They just weren't there last night, and tip your hat off to Philly. They came to play. They played well, but Green Bay had their chances at the end. And why is it that nobody in the NFL has learned anything from that Super Bowl with the Seahawks and Patriots? Down at the 1 yard line, 4 straight incompletions. No, not even a single running play. Give it to your back. I mean, first down, I get it. Nothing. You get nothing. Run it. Second down, you got third down. If it's 4 down territory, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I mean, I'd rather go, 0-4, on attempts there, but have at least a little bit of run sprinkled in there. I just don't get it. I don't get how, these teams just feel like they can spread the defense out and they're going to make plays with these little underneath routes and stuff. I think a lot of it, they just feel like they can do these pick plays because they won't be penalized for it, but it's just really congested in there. You basically are only allowing these players to move 10 yards in space, and it's just, I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. You'd think that Aaron Rodgers would be able to be the guy that could do it, but yeah, just went 0 for 4 through a pick, a tip ball that got caught in the end zone, and that was the end of the game. So, I mean, hats off to Philly for being able to do what they did and win. That just really kind of tightens up this NFC North now. So they better be watching out because they had a good chance to kind of really get a good head start in this, division and, be up, be undefeated for a month, a quarter of the season. I mean, it's kind of how you got to look at things sometimes when, you play this game. It's just based down into, quarters and halves of the season. And you go through the first month 3-1. I mean, that's nothing to, be upset about. But, they had our opportunities to win the game, but, Philly came in and played well and really just, showed that they can compete and they can play with these good teams. And I was thoroughly impressed and shocked. So, but I'm still not jumping right on that Eagles Carson Wentz bandwagon yet. He wasn't too spectacular last night. So let's not give him the MVP award. He just played a turnover free game, and they had a balanced attack with the running game going, and that's what got him the W. But now, moving on, I would like to just go into these the Sunday's games. Obviously, for those who are familiar, those who aren't, I will cover the Monday Night Football game, which will be an interesting one for sure for fans from the AFC North with Cincinnati taking on Pittsburgh. But I will cover that game on Monday, so it's not going to be today, obviously. But anyway, with that being said, let's just go right into Sunday's games. First one on the docket here, we have the Titans at the Falcons. Man, and they're both 1-2. The Falcons are favored by 3.5 points in this game. I like Atlanta because Tennessee is just, they're slumping. They're just, I don't know what's going on with them. They just haven't looked like the same team they were in week 1. I mean, I don't know what's going on with them. It's looking more and more like Mariota is going to probably play his last season as a Titan this year because he's just not showing that he's the guy. He can move forward. And the Falcons, despite what their inconsistencies and stuff, I still like them better in this game. They're at home. If Tennessee is able to run the ball well and get Derrick Henry involved, and say Matt Ryan has a couple of turnovers, which he's known to do at times this year for whatever reason, they have a shot in this game. But I still like Atlanta in this game for sure. The 3-3 matchup with the Patriots and Bills. And everybody wants to come out and say that this is the Bills' chance to knock down New England, which happens to be 7-point favorites. I don't know what their line was for their opening game with Pittsburgh, but it was probably somewhere around this because outside of that, it's been double digit. With them and with the Dolphins and I went the Jets. Bills have been playing really good. I'm really impressed with Josh Allen, how resilient he is, and he seems like he's matured a lot since last season, and he still makes the occasional bonehead plays and bonehead throws and stuff like that. But I mean, that's given. But man, with the way that New England's defense is playing, plus you've got Tom Brady, and historically, nobody in the AFC East has done great against Brady and the Patriots. I mean, let's just be honest. And this would be a good game for them to kind of establish themselves and say, hey, we're a playoff team. We're ready to play. And, for as far as Buffalo is concerned, but I just don't see it. I don't at all. I see New England winning this game. How convincingly will they win it? Buffalo's defense has been playing really well. I think they're up there as I would say they have a top 10 defense for sure. And if they don't, they sure as heck play like it. But I think it's a little closer margin, but I still see New England probably maybe. I don't know. I might make it as a one-score game. I would say maybe they win by a touchdown. But I still like them in that game. Next is another undefeated game, or my goodness, two undefeated teams playing. The Chiefs and the Lions. I mean, the Lions got the tie, but hey, they ain't been beat yet. That's how it goes. Chiefs are favored by 7 in this game. I haven't seen anything other than the Lions winning. They've won in kind of odd fashions. They're really inconsistent. You just don't know what you're going to get from them. But I know exactly what I'm going to get from Kansas City and the Chiefs. And that's why I'm picking them in this game. Mahomes is just playing out of his mind. I've seen a PFF ranking, the Pro Football Focus ranking him as the 6th best quarterback. You got to be out of your mind. I don't know where they come up with these statistics, these analytics, but they're couple couch quarterbacks that they don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're watching. I don't know if they sit in a computer chair and somebody spins them around 100 times and then they watch the game, or they get completely obliterated on Fireball and then turn the game on, and then they kind of base their analysis on that. But you got to be crazy to think that you could put Brady and maybe Dak ahead of him, but nobody else. I mean, Carson Wentz was even ahead of him on this, and that's unreal, especially considering the guy's thrown 10 touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, how can you even go against that? I like the Chiefs, and unfortunately, I kind of like them big in this game. I like them by at least 2 scores, really. They've just been playing lights out, and it's too much inconsistency from Detroit. I mean, they are at home, but that really hasn't stopped Kansas City from doing what they do, and I like them big in this game. Moving on, the Raiders are taking on the Colts. Colts are 6.5-point favorites in this game. Rightfully so. The Colts are playing great. Raiders looked hot. Maybe that was just that. They looked hot in their first game, but maybe that was just kind of a teaser game for everybody else, because I think they're kind of dropped back to reality. They're not a good team. And the Colts are. I mean, the Colts are playing really well. I mean, I like everything I've seen from them. They have that good balanced attack. They've been playing some pretty solid defense, but I like them in this game. I like them by that margin too. I think about 7. Because they don't go out and just blow people out. They just try to control the ball, and they don't make very many mistakes. They're a well coached team, and I definitely like them over Oakland this week. This one surprised me as far as the line goes. It's a 14.5-point line, but we consider who the team is that they're playing. It's the Chargers and the Dolphins. Chargers are they're another one of those teams. They could have Melvin Gordon this week, so for those of you that aren't like me and drafted Melvin Gordon and held on to him because I did not know how long this holdout was going to last, and quite frankly, I kind of looked at it like maybe it would be like a Le'Veon Bell situation and he would be out till like middle of the season, and by that time you're almost into the playoff hunt and stuff, and I thought maybe I could get him. And I tell you what, the moment I got rid of him, it's probably about week 2 or 3, I got rid of him, and then Wednesday the news came out that he was going to return to the team and he could possibly play Sunday. People swooped him right up, and I feel like an idiot. But for those of you who have listened, for this podcast, I've felt like an idiot with a couple of statements that I've made. Well, more than a couple, I would say. But they just. Yeah, having Melvin Gordon would just be huge for them, but they don't even need him. I mean, not only because they've been playing really well without him, but they're playing the Dolphins. So, I mean, sorry, Dolphins, but, I mean, they could throw a high school kid in there at this point, running back, and probably be all right. But Chargers, too, there's kind of an inconsistent team. You don't know what you're going to get. They keep making these stupid mistakes and having penalties and, these dumb, ill-advised penalties happen in crucial moments like touchdowns and turnovers and this, that, and the other. They got to clean up their game, clean up their act. And, I mean, use the Dolphins as kind of a springboard to do that, I guess. But you start creating these, you start building you kind of start building a pattern, and you continue this pattern with the Dolphins, you're in some serious trouble, because this is that Florida Atlantic team that the college teams get to open up with the first week of the year and just blow them out by 50 points and then feel good about themselves. This is your feel good about yourself game, LA. So come to work, do your job, get it done, clean up the crap, and you should win. You should win very convincingly, probably even if you do commit the stupid crap. But moving on for the season, you need to clean it up. And they could be a playoff team if they do, because this is pretty much where they started last year, and they just rallied off and won like 6 games in a row, I believe, even knocking off the Chiefs, which blew a lot of people away. But I digress. There's nothing more to say about that poop show between those two. I mean, we'll just see how it goes. Who knows? Maybe the Dolphins might pull it off if the Chargers do, like I said, and commit those stupid penalties and just put themselves in a hole. I don't see it happening, but you never know. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. Another 0-3 team that's playing a divisional game, NFC East, Redskins at the Giants. The Daniel Jones story. Everybody is big on what he was able to do, and it was impressive. Rallying back from, I believe, his 18 down to, just completely surprise everybody, including myself, on how well he played. And I think he pretty much solidified himself as the Giants guy moving forward. It was pretty much there when they, announced him as a starter. But if he would have had a terrible bad game and just bombed out there, and then they had a couple more, I could see them, just because of how dysfunctional that organization can be, they'd put Eli back in and bring him out or whatever. But I think they're sticking with him throughout the season. And Redskins, not looking good. This is, this could be Jay Gruden's last season. If he even makes it the whole season, you never know. I'm not impressed with what he's done as a head coach. He could just be one of those coordinator guys. I mean, that's the Browns. Hugh Jackson is definitely a good example of that. But yeah, I don't see the Giants losing this game. This is one of those games too where I think, say the Giants do win pretty convincingly, knock the Redskins down to 0-4. You're gonna hear people start asking for Haskins. Colt McCoy will be brought in there before that, but chances are he'll struggle as well, because that offense just can't seem to get a good consistent rhythm going, and their defense is just garbage. So, I mean, it's just I don't know. I see the fans really calling for Haskins here soon, and he may make it, later on in the season. I think maybe probably the midway point of the season, but I don't see him getting it this soon. But moving on from that, I do like the Giants in that game. 3.5-point favorites, I think, is kind of a little low on that because I don't think anybody's watched the Redskins play. But it is a divisional game, so you never know. Anything can happen. I mean, they did lead Philly, for a good part of the game, first week of the season. But, yeah, I just don't see the Giants losing this game. And moving on, got a interconference battle between two South teams, the 1-2 Panthers and the 2-1 Texans. Texans are a 3.5-point favorite in this game. I like the Texans. Kyle Allen will start again. Obviously, Cam is still out. This might be, if Kyle Allen comes out and just balls again and plays really well, these might be the last days for Cam Newton as a Panther because I believe his contract expires at the end of either this season or next season. So he's, it's not looking too promising for him. But I do like the Texans in this game. I think Watson will, really come out and play good and carry that team. And their defense will step up and really give Kyle Allen some problems, I think. But he played really well last week, so you never know. This is kind of a tough game to pick. I do like the margin. I think 3.5 is pretty fair, but I like the Texans at home in that game for sure. Moving on, we got the 1-2 Bucks at the 3-0 Rams. The Rams are 9.5-point favorites in this game. I like them. I like them in this game. They really, they kind of came out to a slow, kind of shaky start, at least in my eyes, from the expectations that we wanted to see what they could do, coming off this, winning the NFC and playing in the Super Bowl. But the defense is really the heart and soul of this team, and Goff getting the big money that he did, I don't know if it's really paying off. I really need to see more from him to be able to say like they are the best team in the NFC, because I still think Dallas is, despite what a lot of people will say, but I'll get into that when I start talking about their game. But until I see some more complete game from Goff, to show me he's worth that kind of money. And I know that's kind of the standard that quarterbacks are paid at now. It's crazy to think, but it is. I see them winning this game. I see them winning it pretty convincingly. However, you always got to play the other side of the coin here. If Winston doesn't turn the ball over like he's known to do, and Jared Goff is kind of going off, kind of doing his iffy thing where he's not really, playing too particularly well, the Bucs can very much be in this game. But, I just don't see it. I see the Rams just smothering him and just, forcing a lot of bad throws. I think this game could get pretty ugly. So I definitely like the Rams in this game by at least 2 scores for sure. Moving on, we have fellow NFC West teams playing each other with the Seahawks and the Cardinals. The 49ers on a bye this week. So this wraps up the NFC West. Seahawks at Cardinals, like I said. Seahawks are 5.5-point favorites in this game. Well, I really haven't... I really have an opinion on the Seahawks so far this season. I think Wilson is playing great. I don't think the defense is quite as good as what we thought they could be. We thought they might be kind of having a down year, not anywhere close to the Legion of Boom that we're used to. But yeah, honestly, I like Arizona in this game. I think Kyler Murray's going to come out. Seattle's defense has allowed people to come out and just throw all over them, and I hate saying it, but they made Mason Rudolph look pretty good last week, or when they played him in week 2 when he came in for Roethlisberger after being hurt. And look how he looked last week. I mean, he looked all out of sorts. He could not get anything going, and just that whole offense. He had a couple big chunk plays there, but for the most part, he couldn't get into any kind of rhythm at all, and he kind of played pretty well against Seattle. So I see Kyler Murray just coming in and having a pretty good performance, and I don't see them really having an answer for him. And I see Arizona picking up their first win of the season. So, that's kind of an upset pick, I know, but I like the Cardinals. It helps them being at home as well. But, that's my pick for that game for sure. We have a NFC North battle, which will be a good game. Should be a good game. It is the lowest margin so far as the line goes. It's the 2-1 Vikings at the 2-1 Bears. Bears are 1.5 point favorites in this game, rightfully so. I like the Bears in this game. We'll see what Dalvin Cook can do. We'll see if he can continue what he's been doing, being the league leading rusher. Will he go off for another 100 yards? I like to say he'll get close to it because he's just playing really, really well right now. But I don't know if, especially granted being a division game, it also being against a tough Minnesota defense, I don't see Trubisky going off and having, the 3 touchdown performance in the first half like he had, last week. But I still see them playing pretty well. It comes down to quarterbacks really in this matchup, and I like the Bears. So because I like Trubisky over Cousins, I'm not sold on him. He just doesn't, he doesn't seem like he's worth the money. There's just too much inconsistent play out of him. You never seen that before. With the Redskins, you just thought, man, this is just a safe pick, a good game manager, but he's not showing that. And until he does, I got to have a slight edge going to Chicago, and plus them being at home, I think it's going to be a good game. But I do like the Bears in that game. Moving on, we have the 1-2 Jaguars at the 0-3 Broncos. The Broncos are 3-point favorites in this game. I don't know how. I really, it's kind of shocking to me. They're not. I guess they're not big on Minshew mania right now, which I am. I like the Jaguars in this game. I think he's been playing really, really well, and really a good bright spot for that team. Jalen Ramsey isn't sick anymore. He had his baby. Congratulations to that. He should play. And I've seen speculation that he said he's still ready for that trade. Whenever anybody's willing to come out and give it to him, he's open for it. And people are, speculating. They're like, do they play him? Do they not? They kind of send a message to him like, yeah, you took some days off in practice for this, that, and the other, so we're going to stick it to you, man. Don't stick it to him. Let him play. He's arguably the best player on your defense. You'd be stupid to sit him. If he's in your uniform, you play him every single time because he's just a huge asset to have. Because I really don't think that he really needs all of that. I think his mind is in the right place when he plays. It seems like he has this off switch where he shuts it off when he's, in the game, and he focuses entirely on that, and then once the game's over or practice is over, then that's when his brain just starts wandering and he thinks about these things. But I do like the Jaguars. I just can't get over how, Denver's defense still looks good, but how they haven't got a sack or a turnover yet is beyond me. Will they get one this week? I'd like to think they would, but I still like Minshew over that. And if they do end up losing this game, that'll drop them down to 0-4. And I just seen where Drew Lock hurt his thumb, and he's getting back into the into the throwing form, I guess, and I think he's throwing a little bit in practice and whatnot. But they better watch it because they drop a couple more games, and if he's healthy, they'll put him in. They will have him take over, and the Flacco experience will be done and over with, and Joe Flacco will probably hang it up at that point, I think. This was his last chance to kind of resurrect his career after getting benched last season. And you almost kind of felt sorry for the guy because you thought, it's kind of unfortunate, one of those deals where you get hurt and then the other guy comes in, takes your spot, and then plays really well, and then they're like, well, we're going to stick with the hot hand, which actually is kind of how he got his job because going into that season that he was drafted, Troy Smith was projected to be the starter, but he got ill right before the game, and Flacco took the start, and Baltimore ran with him the whole time, obviously, and he had a great career with them. But that's the way I kind of see the season going for Denver, unfortunately. I mean, it's so sad to say with as talented as their defense is, and I like Philip Lindsay a lot. I think he's a good back. He just looks like one of those, workhorse guys that's willing to, beat you in so many different ways. But yeah, like I said, I still like the Jaguars in this game. Next brings us to the Sunday night game between the Cowboys and the Saints. 3-0 Cowboys, the 2-1 Saints. Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites in this game. I like the Cowboys. I've voiced my opinion on how I feel about them. Best team in the NFC by far. They're completely balanced on offense. Last week they had, two backs. One of them being, I don't know if you ever heard of the guy, but Ezekiel Elliott, had over 100 yards. And, Dak played a pretty decent game as well. I believe they had over 400 yards of offense. Everybody wants to just give them crap because of the schedule that they play. And you play the teams that are on your schedule. And it's not like they haven't been winning convincingly in these games. So I don't get why they get this bad rep and why people say, I've seen all over that people are so big on this Teddy Bridgewater hype, and rightfully so. He has performed better than I thought he would perform. Not saying anything bad against the guy, but you have your expectations, and he went above my expectations that I thought he would play. But let's pump the brakes real quick. Did he or did he not also take advantage of 14 points that was on the defense and special teams? I mean, that kind of helps out a lot in the NFL. So don't just put it all on him right now. And, and I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kudos to the Saints for pulling off the win like they did. But, everybody wants to say, well, this Saints crowd is so rowdy. It's so noisy. It's a different kind of animal. It's one of the toughest places to play. I get it. It is. It's really great. It's really tough environment to play. The fans are nuts down there. But they usually have number 9 as their quarterback. So they have a reason to get nuts down there. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Teddy Bridgewater because he's done great. And he's a great dude. I mean, he just seems to just be an all-around good person. And so I don't like to, feel like I'm, throwing bad press on him or anything like that. But I just like the Cowboys. I mean, they're just a very impressive team. And maybe if they do end up pulling off this game and they end up winning this game, people will kind of get off their back for this luster schedule that they played. You don't see anybody saying anything about New England. New England is in the same position that Dallas is in. Every team that they've faced this season hasn't won a game. And, everybody just wants to crown them, as this super team. But, I mean, they are, but that's beside the point. How come Dallas doesn't get the same kind of love and appreciation as what New England does? It's all the Brady effect, and it's kind of ridiculous, but that's really what it is. And on the same hand, though, you're not going to hear me sit there and say that they don't deserve it. I mean, the man's won 6 Super Bowls, so there's a reason why, but still, I mean, I like the Cowboys in this game. I think it's going to be a good game, but I do like them in this game. I look forward to play really well. It's definitely going to be a good test for them. They're not going to pull away from this game by any means because the Saints defense has played really, really well. But I still look for them to pull that win off and kind of raised some eyebrows around the league. And lastly, what I will cover is the only AFC North game on Sunday, but it's conveniently two AFC North teams playing each other. So it's 1-2 Browns taking on the 2-1 Ravens. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites in this game. All right, well, I like Baltimore in this game. This is a game where everybody in Pittsburgh and everybody in Cincinnati and Cleveland is rooting for Cleveland in this game. Nobody wants to see the Ravens go up 3-1 and how disappointing this division has performed this year so far. But I mean, just Cleveland is definitely not living up to their expectations. I mean, I picked them last week, and granted they had a chance at the end to win the game and they weren't able to do it. But man, Baker doesn't. He's making some bad throws. He's not looking like he's the same guy that he was last season. The offensive line isn't playing really well. The defense is kind of undisciplined at times. It's just they're that team though that has that they can instantly change the game in one play with how talented they are on offense. So that's why you still got to give them a puncher's chance in every game. But Baltimore's coming off that loss that many, including myself, expected. But coming in at home, that's a tough place to play. Cleveland knows that. Everybody in that division knows how hard it is winning Baltimore. And, that defense, I can trust Baltimore's defense a lot more than I can trust Cleveland's defense, because it's not that they don't have the talent, not that they don't have the ability, but they aren't as disciplined. I really look at the Browns' problems, and I think it all kind of falls on Freddie Kitchens, and he wants to take a lot of it, and he kind of deserves a lot of it because he's the one that decided that this is the workload that he wanted to put in. And being a rookie head coach, I don't know if that's necessarily the smartest thing to do, and he's doing it. And I mean, when you're a LaFleur over there in Green Bay, and you've got a veteran quarterback, MVP, Super Bowl MVP at that too, and Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you could kind of do some of that thing with some of those things with the play calling and stuff like that. But Freddie Kitchens, you don't have Aaron Rodgers. You have a young Baker Mayfield. Could he be Aaron Rodgers someday? I mean, he could. I'm not going to say that Baker's trash, but he's not there yet. I mean, he's far from it. He's definitely not living up to what the expectations that were set in this offseason, which everybody said that this was the team that won the offseason. And if you look at it, between the draft and the pieces that they were able to pick up in the free agency and trades, yeah, they knocked it out of the park, but it's all about looking, it's one thing to look good on paper, but it's another thing to perform. And this is a big test for Cleveland. Cleveland, prove me wrong, please. I hope I'm wrong with this, but because I want it to be competitive in this division. I don't want it to be a three-way battle for the top 5 pick in the draft between us or the Browns and the Bengals and Steelers, and Baltimore just running away with it. But until we see Cleveland kind of pick it up in a division that I thought could have 2 teams representing the AFC in it, it's not looking like that right now. And it's kind of unfortunate. I'm an AFC North guy. I want to see this division succeed. And but yeah, I don't like Cleveland's chances in this game at all. I think Baltimore, especially being at home, I think they're just gonna control this game and play really well. And Cleveland might be in this game for the thick of it, but I see some costly interception or turnover from Baker, and that being the end of the game. And quite frankly, I can start to see things start to boil over if this ends up being a loss, and in that kind of setting as well. If it's a big turnover at a crucial point at the end of the game, and I can see Baker flipping out and going off on his coach or somebody else. I just kind of see that in his attitude, which is a good kind of attitude to have, a swagger. He's intense. He wants to be involved in the game and stuff like that. But that also has its backlash when you lose, because that's the side that comes out. And I unfortunately for Browns fans, that's kind of how I see this game kind of playing out. So with that being said, that wraps up Week 4 in the NFL, and like I said, I will preview Monday night's game on Monday. Hopefully it's a better game than what it's advertised, but look forward to doing that. Look forward to keep continuing to put these episodes out for you guys. I'm loving the feedback that I've been receiving. I hope this kind of new presentation that I'm putting out here is better than what was before. If not, let me know. I mean, I'm trying to make this a very community-driven show, and you guys are the driving force behind it. So just give me the feedback. Let me know what you want. If you want to come and be a guest on the show, or you want to talk, or you have topics that you want me to go over, just let me know. Anything, I'm willing to talk about it. Just throw it out there. And thanks again, guys, for the support. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like the page, and I will talk to you guys on Monday.